Do you think that attitude sums up the ethos of
Well,
Star and Shadow?
absolutely, very much. Every night we were eating well. Someone would come in with a good spread for lunch, baguettes and fruit and veg and hummus and just loads of stuff, cheese and all sorts, and so we'd eat well at lunchtime, and then people would come in during the evening and cook for us, and this was part of the way that the whole thing works. Is you don't necessarily have to pick up a hammer to get involved in a building festival. You could just be someone who comes along and tells everyone they're doing a great job every day. Someone who comes along and helps do the washing up at the end of the day. Whatever it happens to be, there's a million little jobs that still need doing, and we just found that every single day there was always someone to do it. Whether they were cooking for 30 or 40 people, or just bringing lunch down for 3 or 4. You just open the door, and people start to fill those niches. It's a fantastic way of building that community, and me personally, that was how I got absorbed completely into the building. Before that, I was just a peripheral character who had a kind of passing interest in the building because of his interest in film, but given that opportunity to really get my teeth in and to work with the whole community in any small way I could, that is it builds relationships really quickly. You have things become very formative very quickly, so you get to know each other really well, really quickly.
So 6 months on, you feel, do you feel really part of the cinema now?
I'm every single day I'm asked by people who have been here for 4 years where stuff is. I've become completely embedded into this place.
And would you say that that's the general attitude of most of the people that work, who are part of it?
There's if you come here with a very clear idea of what it is you want to get from the experience, then it's very possible to do almost anything. As long as it's vaguely related to entertainment and film, there are some people who come purely because they want a social experience. There are some people who come because they need to keep themselves busy in stuff that isn't just work, something that's a proper vocation. There are some people who come here because they are just one-track minded about film. There are some people who only come for the gigs. But the punter, whether you're a punter, a member, a volunteer or whatever, we all share in this community first and foremost. The paying guests come because of the type of place it is, more than because of any particular gig or film. They come because they like to share in this type of alternative space, this counterculture movement that's going on here. We were visited by Radio 4 a little while ago, who were doing a tour of independent cinemas, and they said of the 6 or 7 places that they featured on the show, the only one that actually struck them as in any way genuinely independent was this one. They met a lot of people who had great buildings that were wasting away because they were waiting on £5 million worth of development money, whereas here they found a bunch of people who are happy to work with 50p if they've got it. And it's an entirely unique prospect, this place, not only locally, but in this country, in across the whole of Europe. We're part of a wider network called Kino Climates, which is essentially volunteer groups, alternative art spaces and independent cinemas linked across Europe. And of all of the small places that we work with within that community, we are sort of the exemplar of everything that goes into that community. We are an alternative space, we are a volunteer-led community, we have consensus decision making, we show culturally significant and obscure films, and we do a crazy breadth of music, art and culture, all within the same walls. We had most recently a performance art show where not just every single proper space within the cinema was used, but people were doing performances in cupboards. There was an igloo built around the piano in the workshop, which was a fantastic success. Actually, it was the highlight of the show. We inspire people to come and use the space in as many alternative ways as they possibly can imagine, and people do. They come here and they feel inspired, and they go away inspired, and it's it really does reach out to a lot of different communities, not just filmmakers, but local groups, speakers of foreign languages. There's political drama groups. There's the roller derby girls do their maintenance down here and have a few practices and tactical meetings and things. There's all sorts of stuff. If you're in here and you don't know what's going on in a day, you're bound to be surprised almost every day by what's going on.
Obviously, the cinema brings a lot to the community and to Newcastle and the wider community outside of Newcastle. But obviously, funding's an issue. Like, what's your kind of view on like the funding thing?
Well, we about roughly 10% of our turnover comes from funding, which isn't really that much, but it's sort of the core funding. So essentially, we use it to stay open. We pay the electricity bill off it. We pay the rates and that sort of thing. So we know we can be open. That's what we use that sort of 10 grandish for. The rest of it, the films don't make a massive amount of money. We have to subsidise the films with the gigs. Essentially, the bar and the gigs is what makes is what provides probably 70% of our turnover, and is plenty profitable. But yeah, we do have to be careful, but not so careful that we won't take risks. We're essentially a cinema. We are essentially a non-commercial cinema, and we're kind of happy to take a loss, take a hit on a lot of these projects because they're worthy for one reason or another. So as long as we maintain this ability to stay open, and currently we tick so many of the awkward boxes for the council.
It's done in there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's up, Rob?